There's a 25-year-old console that's cheaper and easier to get into than ever before, with arcade-perfect games and HDMI output and a library that still holds up to this day. The Sega Dreamcast is having a renaissance, and I'm about to show you why now is the perfect time to get one. Hey retro gamers, welcome to Polygon Legends. I'm your host Serge. So today we're going to be talking about why now is a perfect time to get a Sega Dreamcast. And I'm not talking about nostalgic reasons either. I'm talking about legitimate reasons why this console is even more relevant and accessible today. By the way, before we get started, thanks for helping me reach 1.4K subscribers. I salute you. If you're into retro gaming with a modern perspective, go ahead and hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. Just smash it like you're smashing some potatoes on the floor with your shoe. Help me reach my goal of hitting 2K subs.
Graphics, better graphics means it's more realistic.
And embattled Sega's new Dreamcast video game console is graphically better. The first home unit able to handle 128 computer bits of data at once. Twice as much as the Sony PlayStation and Nintendo 64 machines that dominate the $12 billion a year US video game market.
60 frames a second, which is twice the speed of a TV. It equals graphics you've never seen before.
So let's set the stage here. The Dreamcast was released on 9/9/99. That's 4 nines, otherwise known as September 9th of 1999. Now at the time that the Dreamcast came out, we had the PlayStation 1, which was super amazing, we had the Nintendo 64, which was also super amazing, and my beloved Sega Saturn. Now unfortunately, the Saturn was overshadowed by the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64, which are both amazing consoles by the way, but because of that, Sega decided to look into the future and they started to get their team together to put out the Dreamcast. So the Dreamcast launched with a price tag of $199 back in 1999. It was Sega's last desperate attempt to stay in the hardware console business since the Saturn was failing miserably against the competition from Nintendo and Sony. But here's the tragic irony. The Dreamcast was actually ahead of its time. Built-in modem for online play? Check. VMU memory card that's kind of like a Game Boy? Check. Arcade perfect ports because it shared architecture with Sega's Naomi board? Awesome. Coffee's so good in the morning. So the Dreamcast was officially discontinued in March of 2001, but it left a legacy of some amazing games. And that concentrated quality is exactly why collectors like me are playing it today, and you should too. Now let's talk about the games that make the Dreamcast essential. These are genuinely great games that still hold up today. Coming in at number 5, we have Jet Set Radio. So Jet Set Radio was actually called Jet Grind Radio for us here in the United States. This cel-shaded masterpiece invented a visual style that games are still copying 25 years later. Basically, you're a rollerblading graffiti artist in Tokyo, tagging locations while avoiding the police. It's quite comical actually. The art style is timeless, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Seriously, this game introduced me to so much great music.
Station Jet Set Radio! Over the hood, through the streets, and right into your brain. We're transmitting our signal straight to you. Y'all got your antennas on or what? Yeah, we're right behind a smooth stream of supersonic sound. And I'm your captain and DJ, Professor K. Jet Set Radio!
And the gameplay has this perfect arcadey flow. Sure, the camera can be frustrating by modern standards, but the style and attitude is still unmatched. The best part? It's one of the more affordable Dreamcast games. It's usually running around $70 to $125 on eBay, complete. Number 4 has to be Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This is the definitive version of one of the greatest fighting games ever made. 56 characters, 3-on-3 tag team battles, and that iconic jazz soundtrack that somehow works perfectly. The arcade stick support on Dreamcast means you're getting the authentic arcade experience at home. And while this game has been re-released on modern platforms, those versions are currently delisted from digital stores. The Dreamcast version, always available if you own the disc. Fair warning, this one's pricey, usually around $100 complete, but if you're into fighting games, it's worth every penny. At number 3, we have Shenmue. Yu Suzuki's ambitious open-world adventure that was literally ahead of its time. This game cost around $70 million to develop in 1999. That's more than most AAA games cost today when you adjust for inflation. Every NPC has a schedule, the weather changes, you can play full arcade games including Hang On and Space Harrier within the game world. The quick time events, this game popularized them. The attention to detail is absolutely insane, and it's a must-play in my book. Yeah, the pacing is slow, the voice acting is unique, but if you want to experience a game that influenced everything from Yakuza to Grand Theft Auto to any open world game with a day-night cycle, this is where it all started. You can pick this game up for around $40 complete, and it's essential gaming history.
Ryo-san, I'm alright, but Hazuki-sensei...
My father? Stay back, Ryo. For the last time, where is the mirror? I've no intention of telling you. Father! Why?
Alright, number 2 is pure arcade perfection, Crazy Taxi. You're a cab driver in a fictional San Francisco and you've got one job: get passengers to their destination as fast as possible while performing insane stunts. The genius of Crazy Taxi is that it's instantly understandable but incredibly deep. You can pick it up and have fun in 30 seconds, but mastering the routes and techniques takes hours. Plus that licensed soundtrack with The Offspring and Bad Religion, it defines the game's energy. This is also one of the more affordable classics, coming around at $40, making it perfect for new Dreamcast owners.
Hey, cool. Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Get in already.
Good job! Take me to the cable car. I thought we were
ready?
Let's go!
That way, right?
Didn't expect to get here so fast.
And my number 1 pick of why you need a Dreamcast is Soul Calibur. This is one of the absolute best Dreamcast games in my opinion, and this might be the greatest launch title of any console ever. Think about it. The Dreamcast launched with a game that was better than the arcade version it was based on. Better graphics, more modes, smoother performance. In 1999, that was unheard of. The weapon-based 3D fighting is still incredibly satisfying. The 8-way run system gave fighters freedom of movement that was revolutionary. Every character feels distinct, the single-player content is substantial, and the gameplay is just perfection. You can get this game for around $40 complete. This is the essential Dreamcast game. If you only buy one game for the system, make it Soul Calibur. Now here's where things get really exciting for the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast modding scene has completely exploded, and here are 2 things that you should do. First up is the MODE by Terra Onion. Check that out. This is an optical drive emulator that replaces your Dreamcast aging GD-ROM drive with an SD card solution. Not only does it take SD cards, you can also put a flash drive in it, which is what I did. Think about it. Those original Dreamcast drives are 25 years old. Mine went out, my Dreamcast was sitting in the closet forever, and then I decided to pull it out and start playing it again. And I was disappointed to find out that the drive had gone out. But when I bought this, I did some research, found out about the MODE, and I was like, I have to have that. I have to put it in there. And now I have it installed, and I've got the complete North American Dreamcast library on my Dreamcast. It's just amazing. I recommend it for everyone. The installation is pretty straightforward, and I plan on making a video showing you exactly how to do that. It'll probably be next after this one. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you want to see. Now, the mode costs around $200 to $260 depending on where you buy it, but when you consider the cost of replacing a failing drive or buying expensive games, it pays for itself quickly. Plus, you get perfect game preservation. No more worrying about disk rot or scratched up games. Now, the second upgrade that I think you should get is the Hyperkin HDMI cable. For around $30 to $40, you get clean HDMI output instead of dealing with composite or VGA adapters. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's not a perfect solution. More expensive options like the RetroTink or DC HDMI internal mod will give you better results, they say, but for the price, the Hyperkin cable is a huge upgrade over composite video, and it's plug and play simple, and I love it. Honestly, I think the Hyperkin cable is good enough for most people. It's good enough for me. I mean, look how good this picture is. So you be the judge. Together, these two upgrades mean you can play your entire Dreamcast library and crisp HDMI on your modern TV without worrying about dying drives or any other BS. And that's a huge game changer for me. So let's talk about money right now. The Dreamcast, you can get it for around $170 or so, $270 complete in box if you look around. So for those of you with a little bit of spending money, it's definitely attainable. Game prices are also surprisingly reasonable for most titles. Outside of some heavy hitters like Power Stone 2 or Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you've got some really decent pricing. You can build a solid game library for between $200 and $500. Or you can just get the mode. The library is only 248 North American releases, so completing a full set is actually achievable for dedicated collectors, unlike PlayStation or Saturn where you're looking at thousands of games. And here's the key thing, Dreamcast prices have been stable for the past 2 years. We're not seeing the crazy inflation that hits Saturn or Nintendo 64. That makes now a great time to get in before the next wave of collecting interest hits. You know, I didn't own a Dreamcast back in '99. I was more of a PlayStation fan, and I was super excited when the PlayStation 2 came out, so that's where I went. But looking back at some of these amazing games a few years ago, I just had to get one. The first time I played Crazy Taxi, nostalgia kicked in because that was one of my favorite arcade games growing up. And that's actually the other point I want to make about the Dreamcast, is I feel like the Dreamcast was the last console based on bringing the arcade experience home. It was awesome. That's what made the Neo Geo so awesome, because it was practically one-to-one conversions from Neo Geo Arcade to the Neo Geo AES home console. And all the other systems before that just weren't quite powerful enough to handle their own games, but the Dreamcast actually could do it. So let's wrap this up. Why should you get a Dreamcast in 2025? Well, number one is affordability. I think the system is definitely affordable for you to get. There's several options available out there on eBay if you look around, or I'm sure any retro stores you have in your area might have one. The second reason is that it has a library of some really good games. Like I said, there's no shovelware for the Dreamcast because it only existed for 2 years. So all the games that came out had to be awesome. 3, we have modern upgrades available that just make it a no-brainer. I mean, with the mode, you can install your whole library onto there with Hyperkin's HDMI cable. You can hook it up to modern TVs. I think it's a win-win situation. 4, we've got stable prices right now before the next collecting boom. And 5, it's genuinely fun. And isn't that the whole point? If this video convinced you to get a Dreamcast or pull your old one out of the closet and dust it off to play again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more retro gaming content with a modern perspective. Also, I'm curious to know what your essential top 5 are. Go ahead and let me know in the comments. So next week, I'm installing MODE into my Dreamcast. I'll show you how to do it step by step. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun, I promise. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching Polygon Legends. Keep it retro, folks.